going, everybody? Ragroth here. I know I haven't really done. I don't do as many Mortal Kombat 11 videos as much anymore. But there's something I did want to talk about. I don't really know how likely it is. It's this leak that popped up on 4chan. Yeah, I know it's 4chan. I know it's like I said. I'm not like super convinced by this leak. I just kind of thought it was sort of worth talking about. There's a couple things that I just thought maybe gave it a shot, and it also doesn't help that I feel like, Mortal Kombat 11 like leaks aren't really as often as they were kind of earlier in the game. So I figured, it's not like we're, being bombarded with all these different like rumors and leaks all the time anymore. It's not like we, Smash Ultimate or anything Nintendo related now. So I figured it was at least kind of worth, putting out there and kind of keeping in the back of our minds. But, like always, take these with a grain of salt. So this leak came on 4chan, an anonymous user, and here's basically what he said. They said, with the first pack being almost complete, I've decided to give out some information I heard a few months back from a member of the dev team that was backed up by a gaming journalist that I corresponded with, posting anonymously so that nobody gets in trouble and we stay on good terms. I'll start with some obvious info and then get into stuff less known. Fujin, Shiva, and Ash Williams of the Evil Dead series, voice and likeness by the legendary Bruce Campbell, will be included in Pack 2. These, however, were already known. They'll also be joined by Takeda, Havok, and Michael Myers. Myers will release in time to coincide with the release date of Halloween Kills. Cassie Cage will get a babysitter skin inspired by Laurie Strode. We also get 2 new arenas in Combat Pack 2, the Deadpool and the Soul Chamber. The second pack's release schedule will take us into early 2021. In 2021, we will get one last batch of content in the form of MK11 Ultimate Edition for Xbox Series X and PS5, roughly around the second anniversary of MK11's original release date. This Ultimate Edition will ship with 2 more arenas, the Living Forest and the Pit, as well as 4 final characters added to the roster: Sector, Cyrax, Quan Chi, and Serena. These characters and arenas will also be available as downloads if you have already a copy of the game for additional price. Extra story chapters for certain DLC characters, as well as a new additional area for the crypt were originally planned but scrapped late last year after the whole overworking their employees debacle. They decided to shift focus to solely arenas, characters, and their cosmetics while work begins the next title, Injustice 3. More Combat League seasons are on the way, which will include new skins for base characters as well as Combat Pack 1 characters. Okay, so that's basically the gist of it. I'll talk about why I think, maybe there's a little bit of credence to it, at least some of it. Fujin, Ash, and Shiva, I don't really think we need to discuss anymore. They were found in, the data, the intros and all that. I know Ash has become a little more iffy, but I feel like overall he's still probably coming. I think they maybe just had some kind of issues with Bruce Campbell at the time, and they kind of just had to delay him a bit. I still think he's probably coming. And that's not really that much for wishful thinking. I would like Ash, but it's not like he's someone I'm dying for. So I don't really have much at stake just by saying, I think he has a shot at, by either being disappointed or being overly happy. Now, these other 3 characters, Takeda, Havok, and Michael Myers, I think each of them do have a shot. For, some, not really all for amazing clear-cut reasons, but I think for at least reasons. With Takeda, I think all of us can agree that Takeda got really robbed in this game. I think it was basically, universally agreed that him and Cassie were kind of, the standout characters of the Combat Kids. And I think most of us thought it would probably been Cassie and Takeda, you get a female one and a male one. But for whatever reason I'll never understand, NetherRealm Studios went with Jackie over Takeda. But I think, first of all, Takeda's still a pretty requested character. Neither him or his dad are in the game, so I guess he'd be a representative of the, I think it's his last name, Takashi family. And, I guess at the very least, Takeda, yeah, he was in the previous game, but he's still a pretty new character. So it's not like he's someone that's been, we get all the time. At least not yet, I guess. Not great reasons there. Oh, also, and some insiders that were right about things in the past did initially say that Takeda would be in Combat Pack 2. That was, I think, kind of the main thing that stood out to me about Takeda. Now, Havok, basically, first of all, I think behind Fujin, and he's probably one of the most requested, post-original trilogy or 3D era characters. I definitely see him requested a lot. He was in the Mortal Kombat X comic as well. He's got a big following in that. And another thing interesting about Havok is that in the data mine, they found, the assist modifiers for characters. And there was one for Havok. However, I think there was a code that said like this needs to be removed or something like that. Something weird that like didn't really that didn't seem to match with the other things that made it sound like this needed to be altered for some reason, suggesting like maybe they were gonna have him assist, but like hey, we're gonna add him down. We're gonna add him down the road later, so get rid of that assist modifier. Then Michael Myers. I mean, Michael Myers has been a requested guest for Mortal Kombat for a while now. Another horror icon, probably one of the original horror icons. And he happens to have a movie coming out. Not to mention he had one recently come out. So he kind of has a lot going for him. And I guess it's kind of a way to have Jason in the game without actually having Jason. Then the rest, okay, two new arenas, Combat Pack 2, Deadpool and Soul Chamber. These are basically found in the data mine. And they are well, at least Deadpool is actually kind of briefly in the story mode. So I think both of these have a very strong shot of coming in the game. Now, I guess this is where we kind of get weird with the Ultimate Edition stuff. I mean, admittedly, having an Ultimate Edition actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I think MK9, Injustice, MKX, and Injustice 2 have all done that, so that makes sense. And coming out for the next gen of systems, that totally makes sense, I think. The only one I think didn't do that was, I think, Injustice 2 and MKX. And that's only because they happen to come out, like, still kind of, I guess, early in the console's life cycle, but Injustice came out at the end of the PS3 360 life cycle, and that one got boosted to the that Ultimate Edition got boosted to, I guess, PS4 or Xbox One. So that makes sense. Adding more stages, I guess, and Living Forest and the Pit, I guess they're kind of realistic expectations, especially the Pit is a stage that seems to come around a lot. I think they're both cool choices. Now, the characters they're adding, I kind of thought maybe after Combat Pack 2, if they did 6, that would have been it. But I don't know. Maybe they're kind of sticking to their guns, and they did actually want to support this game for a while, and they weren't just kind of talking out their ass. Sector and Cyrax, I think overall make pretty much sense. Neither of them were really I mean, technically they were playable on MKX, but not really. They themselves weren't DLC characters. Just Triborg was. Not to mention, but they already have models and voice actors in the game, and they kind of got new designs, so they already have a basis to work with them. They just kind of have to make their movesets, I guess, more. I guess they have to make it more different from MK X with Triborg and MK9. I think they're mostly just missing. I don't think they have Fatal Blows, if I remember correctly, or they might have like Triborgs or something. So they're pretty easy to do. Quan Chi, I mean, he technically fits the bill. He hasn't been a DLC character before, and I know he is a fairly popular, I guess, post-original trilogy character. And then Serena, kind of like Fujin and Frost, she was a 3D era character. Well, I know she's not 3D era character, but you know what I mean. That appeared in the MKX story mode, that I think kind of gained kind of a following, and she's always been kind of requested, and she would, I guess, fulfill, I guess, the female, I guess, spot that I feel like all the DLC packs always have. And I know she isn't like that kind of fake leak or like the fake thing with Terminator, where he has like the DLC, the Pack 2 files, which she could, a lot of us, maybe not a lot of us, but some people have thought that maybe she was kind of the one red herring that maybe they were kind of trolling with, but then maybe would actually add later. And then it mentions that Injustice 3 is the next game, which I guess makes sense. I feel like NetherRealm Studios, I feel like they were kind of suggesting they kind of wanted to move away from fighting games, but maybe it was more so they just want to move away from Mortal Kombat for a bit. Maybe after Injustice 3 they're going to, I guess they'll, make a game that's not a fighting game. I mean, I'm fine if Injustice 3 is next. I would honestly kind of rather them support Mortal Kombat 11 for years, because honestly, Injustice 3, as much as I would get it and be interested in it, I feel like I got most of the characters I wanted from a DC game and Injustice 2 and Injustice 1. I guess I would ideally just like them to keep a lot of the cool Injustice 2 characters and bring back some of the cool Injustice 1 characters like Doomsday, Raven, Sinestro, while adding maybe a few new characters like Etrigan or like Star Sapphire, for instance. But yeah, that's why I think some of this does have some credence to it. It doesn't sound that crazy. Like I said, I kind of thought maybe after Combat Pack 2, especially if it got 6 characters like Combat Pack 1, they would probably be done with the game, because it's like that would be the most DLC they've ever added to a game before. But I don't know, like I said, maybe they are actually serious about supporting the game for a while, which I hope they are. Now, I guess, do I want this to be true overall? Yeah. Obviously, I don't really need to give my opinion on Fujin, Shiva, and Ash. We've talked about them before. Then Serena, I would be over the moon if Serena got in. She's a female MK character that I really like, that hasn't really gotten a chance to really shine and kind of sort of become her really own thing. I've always really loved her design. It's probably the coolest design of any of the MK females, and her story is pretty cool too. I just want to see her given her own like unique moveset. That would be dream come true. Getting her, Fujin, and Havoc would be absolutely amazing. Another thing I kind of wanted to mention, a few points I wanted to bring up was that I noticed with the last pack with those 4 characters, they kind of have a theme. There's like 2 Lin Kuei cyborgs and then 2 characters that are basically like demons from the Netherrealm, which I guess they don't really normally do. I guess themes like that, like I guess the DLC characters. But I don't know. I guess if it's a sort of extra thing, maybe they thought it's like, hey, why don't we do like 2 cyborgs and 2 Netherrealm characters? I don't know. Then also, I also noticed if this leak is true, that basically means I think basically every MK game has at least 1 character represented from it that debuted in that game. I mean, obviously MK13 has a bunch. MK4 and MK Mythologies, you know, you can make an argument for like Quan Chi and Fujin. Of course, it'd be a lot better if they just had Reiko because he debuted in MK4. And Deadly Alliance will have Frost. Deception will have Havoc. Armageddon, you can make a case for Serena. I know she debuted in Sub-Zero Mythologies and was first playable in Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, but Armageddon is the first mainline entry that she's actually playable in. I guess you could actually say, you know, you got Joker from MK vs. DC, especially when kind of using a lot of stuff that he had in MK vs. DC, like the boxing gloves and having the cane like he had on in his render. MK9, I mean, you know, if you want to counter, you basically got Scarlet. And then MKX, well, MKX has quite a few characters in the game as well. And then the only thing I could say is that, unfortunately, I could see, like, you know, how I kind of said a lot of this stuff is kind of rumored or like kind of speculated to be in the game through files and all that. This guy could just be piggybacking off of, you know, these things and just kind of making up, you know, what he thinks is next. Yeah, I think that's about it for this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, if you think this is real, if you think it's fake, if you would like this to be real, if you would like it to be fake. Like I said, I really don't know if this is true. You know, I'm kind of just throwing this out there. You know, I figured, you know, we could just keep it in the back of our minds if things are kind of lining up. You know, always take it with a grain of salt. I personally would overall like it to be true. I think this has some pretty big victories, like mainly Fujin, Serena, and Havoc. And Sector and Takeda would be nice as well. But yeah, you know, we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. You know, see what happens if, you know, when or if we get Comet Pack 2, we goddamn well better. Especially if Fujin's going to man it. Like the video if you like it. Dislike if you dislike it. It's a free country. Don't forget to check out Mark Yoon in the description below. Don't forget to check Mr. Anderson Plays Games in the description below. Check out my Patreon if you like this video. And I guess, you know, if you'd want to help the channel out, you can consider donating. I'm not going to beg for money, but I'd appreciate it. I'll give you a shout out. Or, you know, if you want to just subscribe, you know, if you like this video and others, feel free to subscribe. But thank you so much for checking out this video. And as I always say, another time, another place. Keep being awesome.